Sometimes in life, people come along quietly, almost casually, but they stay in your memory forever. I want to tell a story that stretches through the years, a story that changed me more than I could have understood back then. We met by accident. It wasn't some romantic movie scene, no rain, no forgotten umbrellas, no one saving anyone. Just a casual introduction through mutual friends. Back then, I thought he was calm, maybe a little eccentric. He never tried to grab attention, but he was always around. And so we became friends. I can't say we were best friends from day one. At first, it was just hanging out, laughing, talking late into the night, messaging back and forth. But over time, he became the person I could go to with anything. We could walk around the city for hours without any real purpose, just wandering the streets and talking about everything from silly little things that had made us laugh that day to deep topics I wouldn't dare discuss with anyone else. With time, I started to see him as something constant in my life. You know how there are people who just are, and you feel certain they will always be there. That's how it was with him. Then another guy came into my life. It wasn't sudden. We met, started talking, and I felt that spark of infatuation that burns you from the inside. And maybe I began to spend less time with my friend. Not because he became less important, but simply my priorities shifted. But one day, when we did meet up and go for a walk, something happened that I still remember in detail. We were sitting on a bench in the park. It was chilly, and I had wrapped myself up in my sweater, pulling my knees closer. We were talking about something small. I can't even remember the topic. And then he just put his hand on my leg. Not as a joke, not by accident. It was a quiet yet unmistakable gesture. And in that moment, something clicked in my mind. I suddenly realized he was in love with me. Maybe he had been for a long time. And maybe that explained the way he looked at me, the times he listened so intently, and the special care I had always taken for granted as just friendship. But the problem was, I didn't want to see it then. I had someone else, other feelings. And even though I didn't say a single word, something between us changed. Maybe he understood that I had noticed, but didn't feel the same. Gradually, we stopped spending as much time together. Then came the rare messages. And then silence. I didn't even notice the moment when he was completely gone from my life. Years passed. I lived my life, other relationships, other people. But deep inside, I often thought about him, not as the one who was in love with me, but as the person with whom I had felt truly comfortable. I started to realize that I had never had that kind of genuine friendship, that closeness, with anyone else again. And one day I caught myself thinking, what if I loved him? I just didn't understand it back then. That realization was bittersweet, because if I had known it earlier, things could have been different. I wanted to find him, to write to him, to meet again. But what would I say? Hi, remember me? I think I loved you back then, when we were just friends. It would sound strange. And terrifying. Maybe we will never see each other again. Maybe he's already happy with someone else. But in my story, he will always be the friend I lost. And the love I realized too late. Because sometimes the greatest feelings are the ones we only recognize when there is no longer a chance to live them out.